Good evening and welcome to the evening session of the Lenawee County Board of Commissioners, September 25th meeting. I'd ask if everyone would please rise for the invocation to be given by our County Clerk Roxanne Holloway, which she'll follow up with the pledge. And just a reminder, cell phones are only allowed for law enforcement and emergency services. So anybody else, please silence them. Thank you. Clerk Holloway.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, as we gather this evening, we just want to thank you for your unconditional love, your grace, and the blessings that you give. Guide our thoughts and actions. Give each of us the wisdom and clarity that we need. Help us just to work together for the good of Lenawee County, Lord. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which we stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Clerk Holloway. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Ungst,
Here.
Commissioner Blanco,
Here.
Commissioner Collins,
Here.
Commissioner Daly,
Here.
Commissioner Krasny,
Here.
Commissioner Martis,
Here.
Commissioner Stimpson, Commissioner Tillotson,
Here.
and Commissioner Van Doren.
Here.
9 present.
Approval of the minutes of September 10th, 2025 would be in order.
So move.
Support.
Who was that? Who was the motion? Motion by Commissioner Daly, supported by Commissioner Blanco. Additions or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Minutes are accepted. Amendments to the agenda.
If there are no other amendments to the agenda, I would move that we accept the agenda as printed.
Support.
I have a motion by Commissioner Tillotson, supported by Commissioner Martis. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Petitions and communications.
I do have a few today. I have received resolutions opposing House of Representatives fiscal year 2026 budget cuts to county revenue sharing from the following counties: Clinton County, Crawford County, Eaton County, Montcalm County, and Wexford County. I've also received a resolution opposing the MDHS plan for the competitive procurement process from Crawford County. And then a resolution from Chippewa County, and that is supporting the Senate Bills 293 and 294, which would create an effective bond or forfeit process that would apply when an animal is seized to a pending active. And that's all that I have.
Any others? Thank you, Clerk Holloway. Introduction of special guests. Commissioner Ungst.
I'd like to encourage council members of my district to attend these meetings, and I'm pleased to say that in presence tonight is Morenci Mayor Tracy Shell.
Morning or good evening, Mayor Shell. Would you please stand where there you are? Okay. Welcome. Glad to have you this evening. Any others? Thank you for that, Commissioner Ungst. Limited public comment. This is the time you can address the board for anything on today's agenda. Please come to the podium, state your name and residency. You should have filled out a form ahead of time. We need a form. Speak directly into the microphone and address your comments to the officials. It's limited to 3 minutes. It's not a dialogue or a debate. It's just giving your opinion to the commissioners. One request for permission to talk about Lenawee now, and that's Mayor Shell.
Thank you. And thank you all for allowing us to have an evening meeting so that those of us that have to work during the day can make it. I want to thank you for the work that you did on the budget. It starts out with all of the dreams and the requests and the discussions and then the compromises. And you all worked hard on this and came up with something to present tonight. So thank you for your work on that, for coming up with something that will work for everyone. And I want to ask you, as you're looking at your unfinished business tonight and beginning your work on next year's budget, to consider Lenawee now and bringing them on board and into the budget again. They have been a great asset to Morenci in helping us with business retention and with recruiting. And I know that they have been good for many of the other municipalities that are represented here tonight. I know that they will be great for Lenawee County, and I ask that you consider that tonight.
Thank you. At this time, we will open the public hearing for the 2026 county budget. We're open at 6:05, and I would ask Administrator Murphy to please give us a presentation.
Good evening. I especially want to thank all of our guests that are here tonight. I don't know if you've had a chance to hear this budget presentation or not. We did do this at our Ways and Means meeting earlier this month, but because we do have an evening meeting this month, we thought it would be good to propose it again. And I do want to, before we get started, indicate that I am hopeful that after this presentation, we will be approving our budget for 2026 in September, which is the earliest we have been able to do that in any of the history that any of us are aware of. So kudos to all of you for working together to make that happen. So to get started, I just want to say again, thank you to each of you. What we're going to see tonight is a PowerPoint presentation, which is more of a summary of the budget. The commission did meet with me one-on-one to go over the exhaustive Excel spreadsheets that actually have all of the numbers behind the scenes of what's happening. And I appreciate all of the input and interest that you had in making those meetings successful. So we could, there we go, thank you. The areas that we're going to cover tonight, we've got a small introduction and overview, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what we're seeing in our revenue and our expenses. I want to review our debt service, which are our bond obligations. We'll kind of summarize everything. We'll talk about future concerns, what our next steps will be in the budget process, and then answer any questions that you may have. I also wanted to say thank you to the budget team. I do believe a couple of these individuals are here tonight, so if you are here, please stand up. I'm going to start with Shannon Elliott. She is my deputy county administrator. She is on this finance team that has worked on this budget. Dan Zamalzak is our finance director. He's seated at the back of the room. Bev Ehlers, our human resource director, and Tracy Stace is our budget analyst. This is the core team that worked to put this budget together so that we are able to present it to you. So as we have been going through our budget, especially the last few years, we have been trying to look at more of a proactive financial planning approach. Creating a budget is about being conservative, yet proactively planning for the future. To do that, we focused on our financial stability, our responsible spending, basically looking at where have we been and where are we going. It's also about planning responsibly to reduce the borrowing needs that we may have in the future. To do this, we had to work with all of our departments. There are several different departments in the county. Each of those department heads are the experts in their area of work. And so as we are putting these budgets together, we depend on them wholeheartedly to help us make sure that their budgets give them what they need and we are budgeting responsibly. So our budget timeline, I kind of alluded to that at the beginning, it's really accelerated. There was a time, and I know there's a few of you commissioners that have been here for a while, where we were wondering if in December we were going to be able to have our budget ready for the next year. This year, our budget team got together in April. Finance and HR began in-depth approaches of what they had to do, which lasted from May through July. After that, we were getting together, we put together a draft budget in August and then started having Board of Commissioners come in to review it so that we could make sure that you were fully informed on the detail of the budget that you are ultimately responsible for approving. That was presented to everybody earlier this month at Ways and Means. We then had a motion set to establish a public hearing at the meeting this evening, which is what we're in right now. And then hopefully we will be adopting the budget a little bit, well, shortly after my presentation. So to get started, in 2024, we had a budget of $39.2 million. The reason we're going back and we're looking at this is because it's important to see that we just heard from our auditors a month or so ago and realized that we were able to put $3.1 million back to fund balance. It's money that we did not spend because the department heads are being very prudent with their spending. In 2025, the budget year that we are in right now, and for the audience, we work on a calendar year, not the fiscal year that the state and federal government works on. So we work on a calendar year. For 2025, our budget was $41.7 million. During 2025, we began to focus a lot on our building and infrastructure needs and recognizing that we needed to start putting some money back for future needs that we may have. So in 2025, we did put $3.5 million into our capital fund, with $2 million going into a contingency division, which we at that point were using for major infrastructure issues that may come up. In 2026, the budget is $43.1 million. This includes $3.3 million going into the capital fund, where we created a new division called the Judicial Building. And we put $2 million into that particular division. I want to stop here for just a second and talk about that. A while back, we did have a study performed on the Judicial Building, not only the building infrastructure itself, but the processes and procedures that are taking place inside. What kind of growth are we seeing? What changes have we seen since the building was built, and what needs do we have? That assessment gave us just kind of a peekaboo, if you will, of what we have coming in our future. And depending on whether there's a renovation or a new build, we received costs that were anywhere from about $70 million to $100 million to do something with that building. Now, that is not necessarily what the cost will be. That was just to give us a guesstimate of what our future might look like. And there will come a time when we dig into that deeper, we bid it out, and we actually get true costs. We're not there quite yet. As you know, we've been working on the Maurice Spear campus building, and we need to get that finalized along with the new project that we have going on out there. And once that's done, we will start turning our attention back over to the Judicial Building. But that project is probably at least 4 to 5 years out before we will be doing anything. There's a lot of planning that needs to go into it. So between now and then, we will continue to put money into the Judicial Building division so that whatever that bond amount is going to be, we will be able to reduce that bonded indebtedness to our taxpayers by whatever amount we have been able to save. I just wanted to point that out there. This gives you a little bit of a look at what the last 5 years of revenue and expenses have been. I'm not going to go back to 22. You can kind of see where the dark blue is the budget amount and the turquoise color are the actual expenditures. For 2025 and 2026, those bars are equal because we haven't finished out the years yet. So once those years are finished and there's an audit, you'll see a bar diagram that represents the same sort of thing that 22, 23, and 24 have. One of the things that we do when we do budget is we do estimate our expenses to some degree and underestimate our revenues. When we do that, it keeps us in check and is the one reason that we've been able to continue to put money back in our fund balance year after year. This has allowed us to be able to plan for the future and have the fund balance that we do right now. So we're going to go and we're going to take a look at the revenue for the 2026 budget. Right. Did I skip a page? Okay, you're good. Okay, thanks. Our overall revenue is increasing about 4% in comparison to last year. The biggest source of revenue that the county experiences is through the property taxes. In order to estimate what revenue we're going to receive on property taxes that haven't even had an assessment done yet necessarily, our bills haven't gone out, is we have to go and we have to look at what's going on with the consumer price index. And so when we're establishing our budget process, you saw we start in April. By May, we have to declare pretty much what we think our revenue is going to be going forward so that we can then look at our expenditures. In doing that, we look at what the CPI is doing. And so we are predicting with the budget about a 2.5% increase in property tax values. I will say that since we looked at the CPI in May, the CPI has actually increased more than what we were anticipating. So I will say, although we're putting 2.5% in for our budget, again, you just heard me say we underestimate revenues to some degree. I'm expecting that those property tax increases are probably going to be 2.75, 3%, something like that. Not the 5% that we have seen in the past, but I do expect that we are going to see a larger property tax increase than that. Right now, we are targeted to have about $2.8 million in revenue sharing. This is a 3% increase. And I say right now because as we're aware, the state budget has not been approved yet. And one of the budgets that have been presented cuts revenue sharing a lot. And without revenue sharing to the county, there's a number of our services and programs that will be in jeopardy. So we are waiting to see what happens. But for the purposes, we have to have a budget put together. So we are going with what we know right now. There's another form of revenue that we receive is called the Local Community Stabilization Fund. This is something that was created by the state of Michigan a number of years back, and it is basically replacement revenue to counties for personal property taxes for businesses. They're allowed to now exempt up to a certain amount of personal property, and so the state basically fills the county, makes the county whole according to their formula. So we did reduce what we were expecting slightly. I put marijuana tax revenue on this PowerPoint because that's always a big question. People want to know how much are you getting in marijuana tax revenue and what are you using it for? The marijuana tax revenue shown here is $801,000. This is an estimate. I will tell you $1,000 of that goes directly to the sheriff's office as that is for the medical marijuana revenue. The other $800,000 is an estimate and it is based on storefronts, sales, and other calculations that the state has. We have decreased our anticipated revenue for 2026 due to the fact that some of our neighboring states have legalized marijuana, and we know that there is a potential for some of the storefronts within the county to close. So we have decreased that. When you're looking at your finance reports over the next few months, you'll notice that we have not received any marijuana tax revenue yet for 2025. And the reason for that is it comes in after our calendar year is over, and then we have to book it back as revenue. So I just wanted to point that out. The other big source of revenue that we have is state and federal grants. And I'm going to pause on this one for just a minute. We talked about it a little bit at Ways and Means, but here we are a couple of weeks later. We were hoping we would hear something more by this meeting. But the only thing that we know at this meeting is that we don't know what's going on with the federal government as far as a end of the month shutdown or whether they will have a continuing resolution or if the state is going to shut down. All indicators are that the state of Michigan will shut down. For how long, we don't know. The problem with that is there is a number of programs that we have that are dependent upon these funds. And even if the shutdown doesn't last long, depending on what that budget looks like, we don't know if some of this program fund will be included in the budget that comes to fruition. Some of the areas that are really impacted, which may end up having to go away or we have to do something with, depending on what happens with the grants, are programs such as sobriety court, drug court, veterans court, programs at the health department, our materials management programs, and there's many more. Some of the programs that are in jeopardy are actually mandated services. And they're mandated services by the state of Michigan whose revenue could be in question as to whether they're actually going to fund us or not for those services that they have indicated we need to provide. So there's going to be a lot of conversation coming forth depending on what that budget looks like. The department heads have been very good to work with. This week, I tasked all of them to take a look at their budgets, to see, do they have state revenue? Do they have federal revenue? Do those revenues come in and support any staff members? Are any of those revenues that are coming in associated with programs that are out there that we have residents or individuals that are participants in those programs? Because what happens if the funding doesn't come back for those programs? So they are getting all of that information to us so that we can be prepared. And right now, we know that the county does have a fund balance which will carry us, but we also want to be prudent to protect what we can of that fund balance. So right now, we are going to let things go in about mid-October. I'm hoping by then the state will have figured out what their budget is as the federal government give us an indicator. But if things haven't been figured out, the department heads have been advised that we will be meeting and determining what programs may need to be paused until we do get indication on what funding looks like. I know I'm full of good news tonight. Okay, this is general fund revenue. For this, I gotta put my glasses on because my copy is very small. These are all the different classifications in which we receive revenue for our general fund. The first classification is taxes. Basically, those are, for the most part, those are the property taxes I just talked about. And you can see for 2026, that estimate is just over $27 million. The next category is licenses and permits. Got a slight increase there. The federal grants, based on what we know, what we've been told that we are allocated, we have an amount of about 1.5 million. State grants, same thing. These are what we've been told that we're going to be allocated, and it also includes revenue sharing, which I just indicated earlier is potentially in jeopardy. The charges for services, this one is gone down slightly. You see, we went from 2.7 million down to $2.6 million. The reason for this is we were budgeting for revenue in the past for individuals who are signed indigent defense counsel. In other words, they can't afford an attorney, so we have to appoint one for them. And then there's revenue that could potentially be collected if they make payments for their representation over time. Well, we receive funding through the Michigan Indigent Defense Council for our public defenders, and because we receive that funding, we cannot collect funding from those that have been assigned a public defender. So that's where you see that budgeted revenue is decreased. Fines and forfeits, pretty much the same. Same with interest and rentals. I do want to point something out under interest and rentals. If you look at the far right column, the fiscal year 2024 actuals, you see we had $1.8 million. That the majority of that is in interest income. The reason that we're budgeting so low now is because a good portion of that was the $19 million in ARPA funds that the county received. It was held in the bank. We were able to draw interest off of it, but we were required by December 31st of 2024 to have all $19 million allocated, and we're required by December 31st of 2026 to have all of those funds spent down. We aren't going to have a problem with that because we did spend a good chunk of those ARPA dollars. Not only did we send some of it out into some of our communities for projects there, but we did a few improvements at the jail and a few other places in our county buildings. But the biggest chunk of that is the Maury Spear campus building, where we added on some areas to our detention classrooms, nurses station. There's a lot of day rooms. There's a lot going on over there. We also included a brand new centralized kitchen for Department on Aging, which, by the way, they will be starting to move into tomorrow and will be going live on Tuesday. Side note, we have a ribbon cutting at Maury Spear campus tomorrow. I encourage all of you to attend so that you can tour the site before it gets locked down for the juveniles to be in. Moving on, other revenue went from 565 to 756. This is mostly an increase in bond forfeitures and that sort of stuff. So that's where we're seeing that increase. And the other funding sources, the $5.6 to $6 million, This is where you see what we are utilizing from fund balance to put into the capital fund for our building and infrastructure growth. And this is also where we collect for what's called our cost allocation. That we have some core, what we call central service offices. These are offices and services that service all of the county departments, general fund and non-general fund. Those that are general fund, basically, there is a calculation performed by a company called Maximus. And then that rate is billed out to those departments and then brought back into general funds. So it works kind of like a business would. So that's where that revenue is. So that's where you see our total revenue for 2026 is $43,127,587. Now we'll go on to our expenses. Our overall expenses, both personnel and non-personnel, are increasing by an average of 3.5%. Of our overall expenditures, the largest expenditure that we have is our personnel. 83% of our expenses are that in personnel, and 17% are in the non-personnel area. Let's go back. One more, please. Thank you. One of the things I want to point out in the increase here, especially in the personnel, is we do have a couple additional staff that we're adding on. More specifically, with the add-on of Morris Spear campus, we do need more personnel at the campus. This is also 2026 is the last year for the wage and compensation study where there's a few more pay grade changes for individuals who have been on a sliding scale to get them up to the average of their comparable positions in other counties. And some of the non-personnel things, we just had some average increases in service contracts and other just normal increases that you're going to experience from year to year. If we focus in on our general fund expenses, the general fund expenses are divided into various categories. And so I wanted to take a moment just to explain what those are. Under the legislative category, that is the Board of Commissioners. And you can see that in 2025, it was 361,000, and in 2026, it's 330,000. We did not cut pay, benefits, anything like that. What that is in 2025, we budgeted for a strategic plan. And in 2026, there's no need to move those funds forward. We do have a facilitator who is going to be working with us and has indicated he is not going to be charging the county. He is a county administrator from Kent County who has done over 100 different types of plan facilitations, and he actually got his start in finance in Lenawee County, so it's his way of giving back. The next category is our judicial category, which this is the courts, basically. You can see the expenditures there, 5.9 to 6.2. Under general government, these are departments such as the clerk, IT, treasurer, equalization, printing, some of those core central services I talked about earlier. Public safety includes sheriff, jail, emergency management, court bailiffs, that sort of thing. Public works, this is actually for the county, this is the drain commission. And we give a $200,000 allocation to them. Under health and welfare, this is where you would find the medical examiner, Lenawee transportation, our appropriation to DHHS, Veterans Affairs, our appropriation to CMH, etc. Community and economic development. There was a question earlier, or a statement earlier about Lenawee Now. You would think that that's where this would fall, but this is actually for Region 2. This is where that falls in our general fund expenditures. If there's an appropriation that is made for Lenawee Now, that will be in the bottom line, other sources transfers out. Under other expenditures, this is where the contingency is located. So within the general fund budget of 43 million, we do have $1 million in contingency in the event something comes up that we have not planned for. So we have a bit of a safety net in there, as well as claims for the tax tribunal. And again, the last one, other sources transfers out. These are all of the appropriations that we hand out to non-general funds, non-county agencies, etc. The next thing I want to talk about is our debt service, basically bonds or more specifically, it might be easier to think of, these are loans, if you will, that we had to have taken out. We have a 2018 bond for the sheriff's office. It was $8.8 million to be spread over 20 years. That payment is $649,000, which is due in 26, and that is principal and interest. We have $6.7 million remaining on that bond with a final payment in 2038. In 2020, we took out a bond for $9 million for the renovations in this building. That is also a 20-year repayment. The principal and interest on that is almost $566,000 a year. We have $7.47 million remaining balance there with a final payment in 2040. I do want to mention, I don't know if any of you ever have gone to the bank and you want to get a mortgage and they tell you how much that you can afford. And you're like, wow, I don't know if I want to take out a house payment in that amount because they're saying that's the maximum amount that you can probably have. They do the same thing. It's the same kind of analogy for counties where they tell you how many dollars in bonds that you could actually have. Apparently, Lenawee County is in the position where we could potentially have $650 million in bonds. I don't see us ever going there. So I'm just proud that these are our bonding obligations right there, even though we have the capacity for $650 million. So it just goes again to show how careful we are being with the expenditure of our taxpayers' money. So if we can go on to the next page. In summary for the budget, as I said, the proposed 2026 general fund budget is just over $43 million. We have met with all of the departments in the county, looked at what they were requesting, and we considered a number of those things, and those that we were considered have been proposed in the current budget. All of the non-general fund appropriations have been included, and we are budgeting strategically for Lenawee County's future. And with that, oops, I'm sorry, there's one more page, sorry. Some of our future concerns that we might have. Again, I don't want to harp on this too much, but not understanding where the state and federal government are going with their budgets and how those budgets will impact our funding is a concern. Future concerns also include property values and how the consumer price index affects those. And that includes housing. You know, what do we have going on in housing stock in the county? Because I mean, obviously property values are directly tied to the housing stock as well as other areas. I talked a little bit earlier about the Rex B. Martin Judicial Building. We do need to start planning for that. We also want to make sure that our technology is being kept up to date. And one of the big things that we're starting to do in 2026 is move all county systems to Microsoft 365. And so that is going to be something that takes place over the year. It's a very pricey option, but everything's moving that direction. And so that's probably going to take us 4 to 5 years to get through all county computers to make sure we're updated there. Other things are just regular county operations, personnel, wages, the programs, our goods and services. And in 2026, we will also have 8 union negotiations or collective bargaining agreements that we'll be negotiating again. Feels like we just did that, but the time is coming up again. So with that, that is the proposed 2026 draft budget. And I will try to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, are there any questions from the commissioners that should, just for everyone's information here this evening, this is a overview summary of the budget, but the administrative staff went through the budget in detail, down to every dollar and cent with each one of the commissioners. So they've had a couple weeks to be involved in all of this. But are there any questions from any of the commissioners? Commissioner Collins?
No questions, just a comment. And I want to thank Madam Mayor for congratulating the commission on this budget so soon. Thank the administrator for her honor the commission. But the real kudos go to the administrator and her staff, and indeed all department heads in Lenawee County. Those people worked very long, very hard, and squeezed every dollar they could do to bring it to this level. Our job is simply to review it and approve it. They're the ones that have done the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments from commissioners? We'll go to public comment. Public comment. The floor is open for any public comment. You have to step up to the mic, ma'am. You have to state your name and your residency and then
My name is Linda Martinez. I was
residency.
born and raised here, resident of Lenawee County. I've been working on grant monies for a long time for the state of Michigan. Started out with the federal government, working for the USDA, but I do it for a lot of other things. We have blight money that's allocated to every single county, and I was wondering where we stand on the blight and where that's going to fix up those condemned buildings and stuff.
Administrator Murphy.
Yep. So our land bank, who takes in a number of blighted properties, through foreclosures and such, they have been utilizing some blight funds. In addition, the county has applied for $1.5 million in CDBG funds to start a housing program. Hopefully that does not get clawed back. So hopefully we're going to be able to have those funds. And we're hoping that those are going to help about 75 homeowners that need financial assistance in making improvements to their homes too. So we're hoping that program gets started in the very near future.
Just a little hint. Senator Mary Kavanaugh is the head of MISTA. They've got over $40 million just for this area.
That's good news. Yeah. Thank you.
Public comment. Any other public comment? Last call for public comment. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to close the public comment or public hearing at 6:37 PM.
So move.
Support.
I have a motion by Commissioner Martis, supported by Commissioner Blanco. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. So now the chair would entertain a motion to adopt the 2026 Lenawee County General Appropriations Act by Resolution 2025-15. And for those that are here, the General Appropriations Act is just basically the 2026 county budget. For each fiscal year, the county's legislative body, Board of Commissioners, must pass a General Appropriation Act. And that act must include the total millage of ad valorem property taxes to be levied and the purpose for that levy, the appropriate amounts to cover expenditures and liabilities for the upcoming fiscal year, and the budget must be balanced, meaning appropriations cannot exceed the estimated revenues and available fund balances, and that would be the motion on the floor.
So move.
I have a motion by Commissioner Martis, supported by Commissioner Collins. Discussion. Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Stimson,
No.
Commissioner Tillotson,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Doren,
Yes.
Commissioner Unks,
Yes.
Commissioner Blanco,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Daly,
Yes.
Commissioner Krasny,
Yes.
Commissioner Martis.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 nay.
And the Appropriation Act is passed. Thank you, everyone. Now we have the pleasure of having some resolutions and proclamations, and the first one is Hispanic Heritage Month, which will be presented by Commissioner Collins. And I would ask that Rob and Ben and Anita and Teresa and any of the others that want to come forward, please come forward. Come on up, come on up. Got lots of room up here.
County Board of Commissioners recognizes and celebrates Hispanic Heritage Month, observed each year from September 15th through October 15th, as a time to honor the histories, culture, and contributions of the Hispanic Americans. And whereas Hispanic Americans have enriched the life of Lenawee County and the nation through their traditions, values, faith, service, and leadership, bringing the people together and strengthening our communities. And whereas local organizations such as the Hispanic of Lenawee Alliance, or OLA, and the Michigan Immigrant Rights Center provide education, advocacy, and support that uplift families and inspire future generations. And whereas Lenawee County is proud of the diversity that makes our community stronger and celebrates the role of Hispanic Americans and local organizations in shaping a brighter shared future. Now therefore be it resolved that the Lenawee County Board of Commissioners officially designates September 15th through October 15th, 2025 as Hispanic Heritage Month in Lenawee County, recognizing the rich heritage, achievements, and lasting contributions of Hispanic Americans throughout our community. Be it further resolved that the board calls upon the residents, schools, businesses, and community organizations to actively engage in the month's celebrations, explore educational opportunities, and embrace the diverse cultures and traditions that strengthen our community. I so move.
A motion by Commissioner Collins, supported by Commissioner Tillotson. Discussion. Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Tillotson,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Doren,
Yes.
Commissioner Unks,
Yes.
Commissioner Blanco.
Yes.
Commissioner Collins, Commissioner Daly,
Yes.
Commissioner Krasny,
Yes.
Commissioner Martis.
Yes.
Commissioner Stimson. 9 yeas.
Resolution passes.
I wasn't sure if I was going to say something, but I decided to write it down. I originally reached out to Commissioner Collins asking if the Board of Commissioners would consider a proclamation for Hispanic Heritage Month. I did so in hoping also as my parents would be able to attend this evening and being part of this wonderful recognition. However, they have prior obligations with the Civitan of Lenawee they are highly involved with, so they were unable to be here tonight. Both my parents' families are originally from Cotulla, Texas, and their families would make the drive each spring to Lenawee County to work in the fields. They would return each fall after working hard all summer. They worked hard providing for their families. My grandparents at one point decided to make a go for it, and they moved to Lenawee County from Texas. They also came here with many other families in Lenawee County that are still here. My parents continued to work hard throughout their life and have instilled many great work ethics and dedication to our family. My parents, Bob and Sandy Trevino, truly love Lenawee County and believe in a sense of community. I'm very proud of my family and our heritage. I want to thank all of you as the commissioners for tonight and recognizing Hispanic culture that exists here in Lenawee County. As Hispanics heritage is more than just a celebration, it's a community, family, and a love across all borders. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for this meaningful proclamation in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month on behalf of the Hispanic community. Hola, which is Hispanics of Lenawee Alliance, started in 2006 by some of the members that are in this audience today. And I see Lenawee Feliciano over there, and you're one of them. And so when we accept this honor, we accept it on behalf of people both up here this evening, the legacy folks like Mrs. Aranda and others, and the folks that are out in the pews, like Lupe Hamden. What you've done affirms the value of our heritage, our contributions, and our continued presence in the heart of this county. Tonight, I'm proud to stand with these leaders who embody the spirit of our community, Lenawee Feliciano, who's present, has long been a matriarch, serving with grace and unwavering dedication. Robert, thank you for inviting us here, whose decades of service through his parents have been to things that the rest of us in the younger generation have looked up to and attempted to do in their honor. We also honor Teresa Martinez, widow of beloved Chico Martinez, whose legacy of service lives on through her and Bobby de la Cruz. Together, they've taken the baton and moved forward to continue the work that Chico had done for more than 20 years. Gracie Martinez, whose mother Emily Martinez, along with Lupe Hamden and Ada Rodriguez, have had a long, rich history of mentoring and supporting Hispanic youth in Lenawee County. Their support of others and their impact is generational. Through OLA and the Align Center and through the quiet leadership of these individuals, our community continues to rise with resilience, faith, and vision. We thank you, Lenawee County Commissioners, each and every one, for celebrating that legacy. Thank you very much.
I'm gonna have to take this way down here. I am Linda Martinez. I am the daughter of Emily Martinez. She was the commissioner for the state of Michigan for multicultural affairs and Spanish-speaking affairs. She has passed away. When I was little, my grandparents are Mexican American. I am American Mexican. And I have a legacy from a family that loved this county. My dad played baseball. He was one of the first boys drafted into the Detroit Tigers, and he had a short career. My mother worked for students all of her life. The last thing my mom and I did together, because I was the head of civil rights and outreach for the state of Michigan, for the Southeast state, for the United States Department of Agriculture and the Department of Natural Resource Conservation Service. And the last thing that we did together was to start LEAD. We are the founders of LEAD, two of the founders, along with El Flores and my tío, my uncle Guillermo Lopez. My mother said something when we were in Washington, and this is one of the greatest moments of my life. We came home excited that we were invited to meet the president. Mine was for the Clean Water Act and hers was for diversity. When I was little, I didn't understand this diversity thing and why it was so important. But it's not just Hispanics. We're not separating ourselves. We're opening the doors to our homes, our culture, and who we are as Hispanic. Because we're quiet people. We're still, like, I have little cousins that are my seventh cousins that call me Tia, which is Aunt Linda, because I know them all. We don't just know first, second, and third generation. It is continuous. We love each other. We rent a hall out at Christmas time to make tamales together. And we are there together for Christmas and rent a hall and all different kinds of things we spend together. But we are not just together. We spread our love with the community. And we do it at no charge because we melt in this melting pot with everyone else. And we like to share our richness and our diversity with everyone else. So it is not excluding and saying, I am where I am. It is Buena Vidas. We are opening the doors to welcome you. Thank you.
She wants good pictures. Yeah.
You.
Yeah. There we go. Okay.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
We're gonna switch. We have the ability, we have a resolution for house revenue sharing cuts to send up to the state. We can either read it or we can suspend it with a motion to adopt.
Support.
Thank you.
Support.
Commissioner Stimson, that was pretty quick there. A motion to adopt by Commissioner Stimson. Who was that support?
Hard to-
Heartily supported by Commissioner Martis.
By Commissioner Martis. Discussion. Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Van Doren,
Yes.
Commissioner Unks.
Yes.
Commissioner Blanco.
Yes.
Commissioner Collins. Commissioner Daly.
Yeah.
Commissioner Krasny.
Yes.
Commissioner Martis.
Yes.
Commissioner Stimson. Commissioner Tillotson.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Resolution passes. Thank you. Board appointments, we had a couple committees that met after the regular meeting, Bridging the Gap. Commissioner Martis.
Thank you, Commissioner Van Dorn, Mr. Chairman. I am pleased to now chair the Bridging the Gap Subcommittee. For those of you who are in attendance, we are tasked with a really large task, which is how do we direct the, so far, about $1.5 million of opioid settlement money that's come to Lenawee County. We received in excess of 25 proposals in response to our RFP. Community Development Director, Ms. Zisk, has done a tremendous amount of work. Just, you can imagine, just herding the cats and collating the data is a huge, huge project. A lot of outstanding proposals. We're using really a screening tool developed by MAC that takes the first pass at these to see how well they qualify for the funding, how well they follow the instructions and so forth. But as we meet and hear more and more presentations from highly qualified people, we're realizing that this is really just the beginning. The next layer of work as we figure out which of these proposals actually fit well into the demonstrated needs in the county is going to be another substantial task. So we hope to have the initial presentations done by the end of November, and then honestly, the real work will commence. I just want to recognize the members of the committee. Of course, only a few of them are here tonight, but the members are Judge Todd Morgan, Health Department Director Monica Hunt, Deputy Medical Examiner Sarah Palmani, Gary Clift, Brana Colley, Commissioner Terry Collins, Sheriff Troy Bevere, Tim Kelly, who's on the Board of Community Mental Health, and myself. As I told them last week, I'm just a remodeling contractor. I'm going to depend on this team of highly qualified experts on this committee to give us the best advice. And I also shared with them that if this team of thoroughbreds doesn't win the race, it won't be because we've chosen the wrong horses, but we have the wrong jockey. So we are working forward, but we expect to spend a lot of time on this as we move. And the second part is that this is just the first round. There's millions of dollars more in the pipeline as these settlement agreements are reached. So this will be an ongoing task. My initial concern when I first heard about this a couple of years ago, that as money sometimes does, it finds its ways into other unrelated projects, but this will be directed to the point of need for those suffering the most grievous harm, looking for the best solutions for people dealing with substance use disorder.
Questions for Commissioner Martis? And don't sell yourself short, Commissioner Martis. Commissioner Martis has done an outstanding job of chairing the program and keeping them focused and on track and moving it forward. So we appreciate your hard work at that, and along with Commissioner Collins working together with him. Questions? Thank you. Department on Aging, Commissioner Collins.
Department on Aging met this afternoon, prior to this meeting. There was a very good presentation given by Nicole Baker, who is the Director of Lenawee, am I correct?
No, she's the program director.
Okay. Outlining many of the activities that Lenawee has done, and to list them, we'd be here as long as it took for the budget presentation, so I'll go into them, but some of the things they have are community education programs, community transition programs, somebody leaving a home for if they're recuperating or ever coming back, transition program. They also do a survey every 3 years to determine the needs of the county. And from that survey and from open houses, they determine what needs to be addressed. They're effectively the umbrella group over the Department of Aging for many of the funding reports. But it was a great presentation. Also a reminder from the director, ribbon cutting tomorrow, 2 p.m. at Murray Spear campus, or all for the kitchen there also. The walk to end Alzheimer's is October 5th at the park. Registration 11:30, 1 o'clock is the walk. And Tuesday they will be starting at the new kitchen.
Questions for Commissioner Collins? Thank you, Commissioner. 911 District Board, Commissioner Collins.
911 met on the 11th of the month because of the unfortunate passing of the previous board chairman. A new chairman was elected, Fire Chief Nick Wilson from Madison Township. The radio I mentioned earlier this year about the so-called P25 link, which is a link with the Ohio border counties to allow seamless communication back and forth. Am I correct? That's been completed and is now ongoing. There also were some radio coverage problems. I believe Sand Lake, Fire Department, in Blissfield. Motorola is now coming in doing a study and a survey to see what the problem is, and they'll be correcting that problem. Dispatchers now attending virtual academy training, which allows them to stay on the job, on the site, conduct training. That will not totally replace other training, but they'll be doing it virtually. That is all, Mr. Chairman.
Questions for Commissioner Collins? Thank you, Commissioner. Well, I think all your meetings were held after the last one. Health Board, Commissioner Collins.
Been on 17th September. We were informed that the respiratory illnesses were low or down in Lenawee County, although COVID was up slightly. No influenza cases, no measles cases. The department is very strongly into their strategic plan, as our administrator indicated earlier about the uncertainty about state and federal funding because their budgets are not completed. They worked very hard on a contingency plan, so they will be able to operate as best they can in the event of certain cuts. Indicated the clinic will be closed from December 15th to January 2nd for construction inside the building. Obviously, the funding is still up in the air, and they just finished doing their preschool clinics. Is that, Mr. Chairman?
Questions for Commissioner Collins? Thank you, Commissioner. And lastly, Land Bank Authority, Commissioner Collins.
And Bank Authority met, most of the meeting was in a closed session, which obviously we can't discuss, but there was a discussion on property in Adrian Township and how the township, the land bank, road commission all have to get together because it creates a difficulty with access in and out. The discussion and handout of the materials for the blight elimination grant that was mentioned earlier, and how we'd be able to utilize that. That was about it.
Questions for Commissioner Collins? Thank you again, Commissioner. Parks Commission, Commissioner Tillotson.
We met on the 15th of September. We had I guess we call it an annual picnic. We had gotten a grant on musical instruments. That was finished. During that period of time, that evening, I'm gonna say 3 or 4 of the Gerber family were there. Read about it in the newspaper more than anything else. We had a really, really good time, and I think maybe just a few more people there than was there the year before. This picnic continues to grow each year, so we had a good time. Everybody brought a dish to pass, and everybody took some home. Just lots and lots of food. Had a great time.
Questions? Commissioner Martis.
Just a comment, that Park Gerber Hill is of course in my district. The reception for the people in the community for the improvements have been tremendous. My wife and I were walking there last week again, and it's fantastic to see how that park continues to improve. So I regret missing the picnic. I was out of the country, but it was, all our parks continue to improve under the leadership of the Parks Commission.
Any others? Thank you, Commissioners. Region 2 Planning, Commissioner Tillotson.
We met, I believe a week ago, and they accepted an EDA grant for partnership planning. They're working on their website and the master plans for Franklin and Woodstock County, our communities, townships. So it was not a real bit long meeting, 25 minutes.
Questions? Thank you, Commissioner Tillotson.
Thank you.
Liaison reports, Road Commission, Commissioner Martis.
Thank you. I did meet with them this last week. Commissioner Slazarski wanted to extend again his sincerest thanks for how quickly we and how well we handled the rare process of having to appoint a replacement after long-serving and well-regarded Road Commissioner Stan Wilson passed away. They're very appreciative of that and wanted to make sure that I sent that message back to the board and to Administrator Murphy and the team.
Thank you. Questions for Commissioner Martis? Thank you. Wellwise Board. I have the 2025-26 budget here for anybody who wants a copy. The basic comments at their meeting, they had a discussion and report from the advisory board. There's 3 counties that each put a number of people on the advisory board, and they review the budget and they go over the needs of their individual communities. And so they reported to the board at the meeting. They adopted the 2026, or they got a letter of the adoption of the fiscal year 2026 implementation plan approved by the state. And they finalized the chief executive officer's review. Questions? Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Unfinished business. We've kept 2 on the report, the Tecumseh product site. We'll start with, for full transparency, there wasn't a lot of action, but we've had a lot of comments out in the community when we're out there. The fellow commissioners have told me from their areas where people have discussed these and want to know what's going on. And the first one will be the Tecumseh Products property site, and that will be taken by Administrator Murphy.
Okay, the product site, there's, as you said, there's not a ton going on. We did just recently have a meeting earlier this week with the part of the subcommittee from the county, as well as some of the representatives from the city of Tecumseh, where Jason Smith, who works with Tecumseh Products, came in and did a very detailed explanation to get everybody up to speed on the environmental conditions that are going on the property, both where it started, where they are right now, and what they're hoping for the future, as well as how long they expect to be on the property, either actively or just monitoring. So those meetings will continue as we need to have them. Right now, I think we're scheduled to do them quarterly. We've had a couple walkthroughs of the property, but no one has expressed any kind of interest past the walkthroughs. And we are currently just working on getting materials together in the event we do have people that are interested, so that we can provide pamphlets of information on the property, so that they have a full understanding of what they are dealing with.
Thank you. Any questions for the administrator? Thank you. Lenawee now potential contract, Commissioner Martis.
Thank you. Before I left for vacation, we had a meeting with the subcommittee, I guess, along with Pat Farber, the head of Lenawee now, and their president, Mr. Jim Kapnick. We had a very productive meeting. We're trying to hammer out some of the points that we know have been somewhat contentious here. So I don't want to list every point of the contract, but I was in discussion with them this week, as was Administrator Murphy, and the final version of language will be coming hopefully tomorrow so that then we can put together the contract. One of the points in the past that was of concern was the matter of the Lion funds. And they've informed us that both those are going away. That's not something they're going to continue to do at Lenawee now. Another, of course, concern was about the audits. And they've agreed that as they approach the threshold for the federal single audit, like we have to need and do here in the county, when you receive what was it, 750,000 or more of federal funds, you have to do a single audit. They will, of course, make that available to us and the public. We are looking at restoring it to the current level of funding of $150,000 a year. There will obviously do an annual report. We've asked for a liaison position so that somebody from the commission can be involved with their meetings. And they said, yes, absolutely. We have no issue with that. And then Administrator Murphy and Commissioner Krasny and I have been very clear that we want clear measurables. We want to be able to look at what we're getting for the money. And we've told them that our intention right now, of course, will be subject to approval of the commission as a whole, as we'd like to see half of it committed to housing interest in the county and half of it for general operations. They are open to that. They're working with housing groups already and looking to see how this can be deployed to help increase the supply of attainable and affordable housing in the county. So hopefully we'll have something done in the next week or two that then we can bring back for the full commission to take up. And I think in the initial contract would be 1 year. So we told them we want to take a firm look at this. We want to make sure we're getting a good bang for our buck. And we'd like to have a chance to reconsider this at the end of a year. And they said, absolutely, we're open to that. So that's where we're at right now.
Questions for Commissioner Martis? Thank you, Commissioner. New business, we have a design and construction and land acquisition easement request. I'll let the administrator handle that.
Sure, I will take this. I believe our airport manager is in the back of the room in the event I need his assistance in answering anything. So Thomas, be ready in the event I need you.
Why don't you step up here, Thomas, so everyone can.
Everybody can see you. Yeah,
Right.
there you go. Put you right on the spot. So basically what we have is, in most of the projects that we have going on out at the airport, we end up working with MDOT on cost sharing. And we are currently in a situation that, based on funding that has been set aside, that the cost share is 90% federal, 5% state, and 5% county. So the projects that you have in front of you, it's an agreement and basically a resolution that requires a signatory to agree to the agreement and authorize our board chairman as a signatory on the document. But the total price here is $251,000 in the federal funding. And hold on, I got to get this right here. This, so $251,983 will be federal share. 13,264 is a state share, and that's also 13,264 will be our share. And what this is for is the runway visual guidance system for runway 5, which is called REALS. Thomas can explain more about what that is. And also, as most of you have been aware, that we are acquiring navigation easements to easements, excuse me, on some of the parcels over in the subdivision near the airport, because we have trees that are creating an obstruction in the airspace for the runway approach. So we did close on 4 of those properties, or we've actually closed on, I think, 10 or 12 of those properties. 4 of those properties, though, the land acquisition, in other words, the easement, is included in this dollar amount that we're talking about today. So the action would be to authorize the, what do we have right here, to accept the sponsor contract as presented and authorize Board Chairman Jim Van Doren to sign by way of resolution 2025-16, which is attached.
So moved.
Have a motion by Commissioner Collins.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Martis. Thomas, anything to add to that?
None for me unless anybody has any questions for me.
Questions?
I'd be happy to answer anything, go in depth on anything.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. And Thomas, we'd just like to say thank you very much for all you do out there. I mean, you have just added a wealth of knowledge and income to that airport that helps the pay the bills, and we really appreciate that. You're doing a fine job, and we hear a lot of great comments for you. And I can see by the size of you, you're like a state trooper, so you know, nobody gives you any lip, so. Oh, I'm sorry, that's right. Sorry. The last one was which resolution?
This is the airport.
Airport resolution was it was a resolution, so I need a roll call vote, sorry. The clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Van Doren.
Yes.
Commissioner Unks.
Yes.
Commissioner Blanco.
Yes.
Commissioner Collins. Commissioner Daly.
Yes.
Commissioner Krasny.
Yes.
Commissioner Martis.
Yes.
Commissioner Stimson.
Yeah.
Commissioner Tillotson.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Resolution passes. Any other new business? Public comment, this is the time where people can address the commission. Is there anybody that would like to have any public comment? If you are, please come to the podium, state your name and residency. Your comment should be directed toward the commission. This is a format for the meeting and does not allow for a direct dialogue or response to the public comment, but your opportunity to give us your viewpoint. Can you turn on your mic there, Ben, please? Thanks.
Is that the button that says push?
That's the one. Very good.
Thanks again for the acknowledgement and recognition of Hispanics Heritage Month. Very proud moment for us indeed. I'm going to switch my hat as many of you know, I do a couple of different things here in Lenawee County. A statement in strong support for Lenawee Now funding. I know you just did a great job letting us know about the contract. But I did want to mention that on behalf of the Hispanics of Lenawee organization leadership and advocacy, we strongly urge the commission board to resume and sustain funding for Lenawee Now, which in my mind is truly the county's sole economic development organization. I can't help but notice that in a time of growing economic uncertainty, shrinking workforce related to manufacturing specifically and other industries, now more than ever, the work that they do at Lenawee Now in attracting and sustaining manufacturing and other industries is critical to the future of Lenawee County. For the Hispanic community in particular, Lenawee Now's efforts translate into real, dignified opportunities. These jobs pay real, livable wages here in the city of Adrian, okay? They help a family of 3 or 4 start. When they're making 20, 22, 23, 25 bucks an hour, that gives them a little bit of a hand up, not a hand out, which we're not looking for. Funding Lenawee Now is not just an investment in economic and infrastructure. It's an investment in people, the people of Lenawee County. And so we lend as an organization our full voice in support of Lenawee Now's mission and call on our elected leaders to prioritize the future of Lenawee County by restoring funding in this indispensable organization. Respectfully yours, Ben Negron, Ola Organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Any other public comment? Commissioner comments? Commissioner Martis.
I'd just like to make a comment with respect to the resolution for Mr. Negron and the folks that came. I think we typically think of the Hispanic community in Adrian, which of course is important to our community and vital, but I'm in District 7, Blissfield, Deerfield, Riga, Palmyra. And when I hear the names, I think of I didn't mean to get emotional. Think of the people I went to mass with and are an integral part of our community in Blissfield. Names like Martinez, Valdez, Garza, De La Cruz, Celestino, Navarro. I struggle to think of them as the Hispanic part of my community because they're just my friends and my neighbors and my colleagues. So thank you for coming.
Nicely said, Commissioner Martis. Anybody else? Any other commissioner comments? Announcements. Don't forget, tomorrow, 2 o'clock, Lenawee Youth Center, you're invited to, and on November 19th, 2025 in the evening. We'll have a little legislative dinner where you can come and meet with your commissioners and also hear a little more about what's being proposed for Lenawee County in the future. Other announcements? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. I have a motion by Commissioner Tillotson, supported by Commissioner Mardos. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Opposed, no. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for attending. We appreciate